Hey everybody, this is Dr. Billy Williams with Inspire a Nation Business Mentoring. Today I'm going to talk about something that I feel is really a weakness in most agencies, and that's spot checking. Guys, if you will spot check in your agency, you will be amazed at how processes stick, you make more money, all of that. So I'm going to really dig into that today and teach you the steps that you need in order to know how to spot check a process. Okay. Again, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Dr. Billy Williams. I'm president of Inspire a Nation Business Mentoring, a Williams Family Insurance and Investment Group company. So let me start out with this. Adding a consistent agency spot check process can potentially increase agency revenue by up to 30% in just 1 year. Why? Because you're finding all the gaps, you're finding the holes, you're finding the places where things fall through the cracks. So I believe that its lack of consistent spot checking I believe that's the main reason that processes don't stick. I think that it's the main reason that you're not generating the revenue that you could. And more importantly, that your people are not doing what you want them to do because you're not holding them accountable by doing some spot checks. Spot checking is not standing over their shoulder and micromanaging. Spot checking is something you can do at 2 a.m. You can do it at 2 p.m. You can do it at 4 a.m. in the morning. You don't even have to have that person near you to spot check. But consistent spot checks not only help build the culture of your agency, but they identify training opportunities and they just solidify your processes. Okay. So these are the steps. I'm going to walk through the steps and I'm going to give you an example of a spot check. And so you want to make sure that you understand this first and foremost. There are more than 140 different insurance agency management and CRM tools that's utilized in our industry. So while I'm explaining these steps, I can't show you every single tool. So you're going to have to locate the functionality and activities that I explain on this training. I'll take you through and show you, I think we're using Salesforce today to show you just kind of a general way of checking it, but you'll have to go specific to your AMS system to make sure you can do these things. So what's the first thing you do? First thing is you run an activity audit. You begin by reviewing overall activities conducted within the insurance agency, and you identify what you want to check. And so here's what I've learned. Learning to pull an activity report from your agency management system is harder than what most people think, depending on your agency management system. When I say pull a report, I'm just talking about things that happen throughout that day, the week, the month, whatever you decide to check. So obviously with 140 different agency management systems, you're going to have to click around and find the correct way to pull a thorough activity report. But you can pull that activity report based on payments that were taken, based on endorsements that were done, based on new customer follow-up, whatever you want. But you're going to have to learn to pull an activity report from your agency management system if you want to perform consistent and accurate spot checks. That's the first thing. Second thing, you select 3 or 4 random agency activities. We normally choose like processing payments, processing policy changes or endorsements, onboarding new customers, conducting policy reviews, lead follow-up process. These are the things that I want to spot check because these are the processes that make the most money for the agency. So these are the things that I tend to spot check on a regular basis. When I spot check, I'm going to clearly define the desired results, right? Or what I'm looking for. I could check for the number of follow-up attempts if we have a standard for that. Or did we mention a policy weakness conversation if they didn't follow our agency standards for coverage and policies? Did we send a declined coverage form if they turned down a major coverage or major policy? Did we schedule a follow-up appointment? So you have to know what it is you're looking for when you're spot checking. And so again, these are the things that I tend to look for. Did you follow up? How often did you follow up? Which ways did you follow up? Did you mention a weakness? For me, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. Did you mention the weakness? Meaning, did they have coverage that fell below the agency standards, or did they not have the policies that the agency recommends that they have? And I don't care if you're making a payment. I don't care if you're calling in to add a car. I don't care if you're asking for an ID card. My team needs to identify, hey, by the way, you have this coverage and our agency standard is this. I know we've discussed it in the past. Are you still comfortable with that? You are? Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and send you over another declined coverage form because we've had a new conversation. So this is why you have to have standards, because if you don't have standards, your people won't say that. But these are the things that we check for. Now, number 3, define the expected outcome of the spot checked activity. Number 4, document the requested action. So the team member that handled the request should record the specific action or task that needs to be performed. They called in to do an ID card. They called in to add a car. They called in to change a young driver. They called in to add jewelry to their home or whatever it is that they did, to add wind and hail, whatever. Now, usually we can just document this by simply sending the email that we're using to communicate with the customer. So maybe the subject line says you requested to add wind and hail to your home. Okay, well, that's on the subject line. And if I'm sending it through my agency management system, then that's automatically going to track. So I don't have to necessarily go create a whole bunch of new notes, right? I just have to send things out of my system that will automatically label, categorize, and track what was done. Usually those actions can be found on the history or activity log of the contact's profile. So if you called into, like I said, add a wind and hail policy to your home, then I'm going to send you a confirmation email or send you the proof of insurance or send you whatever, and I'm going to send it through my agency management system so that I have a record of that being done. Now, those of you that are using a CRM, that's fine. I'm saying agency management system because that's how I tend to send things related to customers. For me, CRMs are about prospects. AMSs are about customers. However you decide to do it, that's up to you. But just know that your activity log or your activity history should be able to reflect. So it's 2:00 in the morning and I'm spot checking. I don't have to ask you, hey, what was this customer calling for? I should just be able to pull that report, look at this activity, go to the activity log and see that, oh, they requested that the wind and hail, or they requested to change out a car. That's what I should be able to do at 2:00 in the morning without having to talk to somebody. Okay. And most agency management systems will do that for you. Number 5, assess the actions taken by the staff. What I'm looking at is, are they following our written processes? So if it's an endorsement, look up by phone number, verify the email address, verify we have permission to text message, process the request. Make sure I mention a policy weakness. If they fall below our agency standards, send out a decline coverage form or send out confirmation email explaining the policy weaknesses. Those are our standards. That's our process. So I'm looking to see, did they follow our process? Usually I got to check 1 or 2 things. Check an email, check a text message to see if that was communicated, because that's normally part of our workflow, is those things are listed inside of our email templates. So I don't need you necessarily put notes and said, oh, I talked to Joe about this and we had this and we had that and we did this. That should all be reflected in the email that you sent to Joe. So I just need to check the email, text messages, things like that to make sure that you're communicating what we want you to communicate. Okay. Number 6, evaluate communication with the contact. We use the PETS method, which is phone, email, text, and social DM. Yes, we try to connect with every one of our new customers and get them to connect with us on LinkedIn so that I can DM them directly. A lot of times I'll get the DM response back before I'll get back the text message, which is unusual, but we use phone, email, text, social, and I should be able to look at the activity log and see this email was sent, this text message was sent. We have a note of the phone call that was made, and I also DM them on social if I needed to do that. Number 7, assess the quality and effectiveness of the communication between the staff member and the customer or relevant contact during the activity. For us, this is really simple. Our templates take care of everything, but we want our systems to be able to track two-way communication. We want to be able to track and report bounced emails and track and report non-delivered text messages. Nothing is more irritating than when I go into an agency and I'll say, let's spot check something. You go, email sent. And I go, well, was the email delivered? They go, I don't know. I never checked that. And then all of a sudden we go back in and we look at that customer's record or go into the AMS and it says non-delivered. So yeah, the email was sent, but it was never delivered. The text message was sent, but it was never delivered. So I need to make sure that our systems can track that as well. Okay. Number 8, verify thorough completion of requested action. Basically, I'm going down our checklist, look up my phone number, verify the email address, verify text message, process the endorsement, did I send a decline coverage form, did I mention a policy weakness, that kind of thing. So I'm going through our processes and making sure that they followed our processes and that it was done thoroughly and it was completed. I'm going to identify any policy weakness or make sure that they identified any policy weakness and communicate them to the contact. Again, if you have the right templates set up, email templates, text message templates, DM templates, if you have those things set up, most of this is as simple as alternating or modifying an email template and sending it out to the customer to address that weakness. If your agency doesn't have standards for products, services, you need to check out Inspire Nation Business Mentoring and look at our workflows and look at our templates and look at our different things. But you should have that. And those templates should be able to communicate what you want. 10, schedule a next follow-up with the contacts. This is another big weakness that I see. I see that we're taking care of it, but we never schedule with the contact when we're going to follow up. I'll check out, I'll call you Monday, I'll call you Wednesday, or here, let's schedule something now so that I'm on your calendar. So that lack of scheduling the next follow-up is a big, big deal, guys. That's a big deal. And that's something that I'm spot checking for. And then finally, I'm looking at the notes, activity history log, and seeing, was everything done and was it verified? And again, I don't need more than 5 minutes to do this kind of stuff, guys. I really don't. It's just a matter of me taking the time and figuring out, hey, I want to check this out. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come over to our Salesforce and I'm going to just pull up one of our folks and I'm going to go through and I'm going to spot check it. Show you how short, quick, and simple it is. All right, so let's go over here. All right, so I'm inside of our Salesforce over here. And again, I don't care what agency management you use. I'm using Salesforce because they're generic. And I didn't want to pull up, Hawksoft or one of these other tools. And then you say, well, I don't have that. And I don't. So I'll just pull up something very generic. Okay, pull up Salesforce. So in Salesforce here, let's go here. Let's look up. These are different things that are happening. Let's look up Mark Irish. Okay. Mark is with Novate Premium Finance. He's one of our vendor trainers that comes to the Fix My Insurance Agency workshop. So what am I looking for? Number one, I'm looking to make sure that the first thing I'm looking to make sure is what's our communication flow. And remember, we use pets, phone, email, text, social. So all I have to do is look at the history, look at the logs and see what was done. So did we have a phone call with him? Spoke with him in Las Vegas. This is on 5. This note was modified on 5/6. Sent text message about the workshop. Okay, so we've got a text message. There's an email. Remember, phone, email, text, social. Well, in this case, I don't need social because I spoke with them in person, so that's good. Let's see, and schedule appointment for Fix My Insurance Agency workshop. So I've got my phone, I've got my email, I've got my text, and I've also got my next follow-up appointment with him. Now, obviously, this is not a customer, but I'm just showing you how simple it is to check. If he had been an actual customer of the agency, I would have clicked into one of these notes here and looked at the email template to see if the policy weakness was sent. And obviously it was sent because it's part of our email templates. So I would have just clicked in and said, hey, let me verify that we mentioned our policy weakness. And if I want to go deeper with that, I can look at the policy itself, his policy, and match it against the email that had gone out to make sure that our person really did discuss all of the different weaknesses. But guys, spot checking is how you make sure your culture is set in your agency, things don't fall through the cracks, appointments are being set, folks are being communicated, and you're making more money. Okay, that's what spot checking does. As well, it makes your staff happier too, because they know their job, they know their place, they know when I say their place, meaning they know what they need to do every single day when they come in the agency. They know what standards you're holding them to. And people tend to like that a lot better rather than willy-nilly all over the place. I don't have a clue what's good, what's bad. They like to know that there's a standard. But this was what you guys needed to know about spot checking, okay? So the last thing, review and ensure the accuracy of contact notes. Let me point these things out. Skipping any of the steps explained, or 11 steps, skipping any of those steps will weaken the spot check process. And they're so simple. It's not like it takes a lot. You saw I was able to do that in like 5 minutes, okay? 3 minutes. Number 2, spot check should be performed at least weekly. If you want maximum benefit, stop, especially agency leaders, agency owners, stop being the highest paid employee in your agency and start spot checking the people that you pay to replace you. When you hire in an agency, you should hire yourself, hire tools and people to support you, and then hire people to replace you. They can't replace you if you've never trained them on how to replace you. Spot checking allows you to continually train them on how to replace you. Okay. Number three, download a copy of this checklist on our 15-minute Lunch and Learn tab. So we've got this all broken down into a quick little checklist that you can just go through. Just go to the 15-minute Lunch and Learn tab of our site at www.inspireanation.org. And 15-minute Lunch and Learn tab, you'll see the spot check checklist. Just download that. If you don't have written processes, or if you want to compare your agency processes against industry best processes, you need to check out the Inspire Nation mentoring program, okay, for insurance agents. Again, inspirenation.org is where you would go to check that out. Finally, if you're really serious about growing your agency, you need to attend one of our upcoming Fix My Insurance Agency process implementation workshops. And you can go to inspirenation.org to find out the details, dates, locations, things like that. But that's 2 days of agency process implementation. I mean, we set up everything, live setup, campaigns, processes, templates, automation, technology. We set it up live in that 2 days. So it's not like any other training you're ever going to experience in the industry, at least not right now until people start copycatting us, right? But right now, we are the only ones really doing this live workshop implementation. So that's spot checking, right? So make sure you're getting out there, make sure you're doing it. Download the spot check checklist from our site and have a great, inspired day. See you later, guys.